What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to speak a little bit about how you can prepare for Wrath of the Machine hard mode, which comes out next week, or just generally prepare for the update, that's update 2.4.1, which will enable up to 400 light. So hard mode Wrath of the Machine is going to release on Tuesday the 18th of October after reset time, so the patch enabling 400 light will actually go live at 10 AM PST, which is 6 PM in the UK, and then hard mode itself will go live at 2 PM PST, which is 10 PM in the UK. These are slightly unusual times. This is worth bearing in mind if you do want to be around to run it on day one. There's a few things you can do to both prepare for the raid and the changes to light levels and rewards that we'll be seeing inside of Destiny. So for the raid, in terms of a light level, it is pretty important. Being 385 at the start of hard mode will set you in a pretty good stead right here. Of course, a few of us are above this level already, but being, something like 387, it's only going to slightly benefit you. It's not worth stressing over right now. While on the subject of a light level, on Tuesday, I recommend firstly not running normal mode at all if you plan on going into hard mode later. We don't know what kind of influence this may have on the hard mode drops. Secondly, I wouldn't run any endgame stuff, so things like nightfalls or turn in your weekly crucible bounties until after update 2.4.1 has gone live at 10 AM PST, because of course later on in the day you'll be able to get drops at 390 plus from these activities, which will be generally beneficial, especially if you want to run the raid later on. I would also recommend saving any exotic engrams that you have right now until after patch on Tuesday. Of course, it's just a couple of days, but these have a lot of potential to give you some pretty nice light level boosts, which will be generally pretty useful for the raid. Running some Archon's Forge will also be useful, since ghosts and artifacts will be able to drop up to high levels in the Forge after Tuesday in this patch. As well as this, even edging factions could be useful. Depends really how fast you want to level up. You don't have to go crazy or anything like that, but there will be a gap of a few hours if everything goes to plan between this patch and hard mode going live, so it does give you a little bit of time to perhaps grab a few things. Up next, if you're running the raid before hard mode next week, I recommend saving your Siva fragments and cache keys for the chests in the hard mode raid. The maximum you'll earn right now in terms of light level is of course 385 in the raid, so unless you're actually chasing a specific weapon or something like that, these will become far more valuable next week. Up next, it's certainly worth thinking about leveling up the right gear. So if you want the best chance in the raid, I highly recommend you take the weapons which work for you or are generally the most effective in the raid, and make sure that you give those the highest possible level that you can. So for me, Genesis Chain is a primary I really like to use in the raid, my Black Spindle and LDR, which I generally use, and then Galahorn or particularly Dark Drinker if you're trying the sword strat, are absolutely worth thinking about leveling up. You could get more technical here, but generally just make sure that you have the most effective gear at the best light level you can ready for day one. The next thing I wanted to talk about is getting your team together. So not everybody has a team that they can build up. If you don't, perhaps it's worth trying to sort out, meet some people on LFG or something like that. See if you can get at least a few of you together that know each other before you find other people on the day. But of course, if you do have friends that you generally play with, a little organization will definitely be useful. Of course, make sure your teammates know when all of this stuff is going live. It really will pay off in the end. I also recommend running the raid on normal as many times as you can before next week. If you've only done it, maybe once or twice or not at all, getting a bit more experience and a comfort level with this raid will certainly help you address the more difficult elements that come inside of the heroic raid next week. Of course, generally knowing how to complete the raid and having some experience level is going to be very, very useful. But the things I've spoken about here are more kind of general things that you should have ready in terms of the hard mode. So that's about everything that I have for you guys for now. Leave any tips that you have in the comments down below. Let's help each other out a little bit. Have a great time on Tuesday when the patch goes live, whether you're jumping in and just leveling up or jumping into hard mode. Whatever you get up to, have an awesome time.